Hey, I am Riggers. Thanks for dropping in. Today I want to talk about an issue I recently had with my PS Vita. I was able to fix this issue without any more money spent. I didn't have to get any replacement parts, didn't have to replace or repair the console through some third party. I didn't have to spend any money, and I didn't even really look anything up online to fix it. So I'll tell you what the issue was. Quick recap of what I've been up to. I haven't played the Vita in a while. I'd got back into it, was really into playing Everybody's Golf on the Vita. And when you've not played the Vita in a while, it has a drained battery. You have to spend ages having it plugged in and it charges very slowly. Now, that was all well and fine. I was using it, charged, whatever, took it off charge, and I was using it for a bit, and then I thought, oh, the battery's drained quite quickly. It says battery low. So I plug it in on charge, and over a couple of times of using it, when I'd had it on fully charged for a whole night, the next time I went to use it and didn't bother plugging it in, it would almost immediately say no power again. I was like, whoa, something's not right here. It can't have no power already. I've had it on charge and I've been using it while it's on charge, or I've just had it on charge and I've not been using it. Either way, there's several times in a week where it was on charge for several hours. And then it would just drain the power almost instantly. And then it got so bad to the point where I was booting up Everybody's Golf and I hadn't even gotten past the menus, and it popped up in the corner, your battery is low. And then I was like, okay, the console's bust, there's something wrong with it. So I spent a week just not using it, and as an emergency backup plan for what I was going to play on a handheld, I decided to start a playthrough of Everybody's Golf on the PSP. So I was playing a different game in the same franchise. I was relatively happy, although I did have a sense of unfinished business with the one on my beautiful Vita here. And I eventually decided, when I had a bit of free time, after about a week or so, I decided, right, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take apart the PSP. And I'd looked up when I first became suspect of the issue. How do you remove the the PS Vita battery, because it's not like the PSP one where you just pull off the cover and you take the battery out. With the PS Vita, it's kind of like attached to the motherboard and the whole inner workings of the system itself. So what I did is, I've got a load of screwdrivers. I've got a whole screwdriver set with about 80 different screw heads, and I've got some specialist individual PSP screwdrivers as well that I got off eBay years ago when I was fixing up my PSP. So I've got so many different screwdrivers, and I've taken controllers and PSPs and various things apart over time. And so yeah, I decided I'd take all these screws off. I took these two bottom screws off here, 4 on the back here, and then it wasn't coming off properly. So I thought, usually when I've tried to take things apart in the past and they're not coming off and it's like I'm breaking the casing of the console or device or whatever it is, usually there's a hidden screw somewhere. So I looked it up online. This is the only thing I did look up online. And no, it's not in here, but it's in this bit, this otherwise unused port. There's 2 more screws in this top bit next to where you put the games, and next to the volume buttons. There's 2 screws here that you need to take off as well. Once you're taking off those 2, these 2, and these 4 screws, you can carefully pull the console in half and take off that back panel. Now in this back panel, the battery is like in the middle here, and it's wired in to the actual motherboard and all the circuitry and everything. So what I did is I carefully, because you can lift the battery out, I carefully lifted the battery out, placed it back in. You have to unscrew, this is a metal bar holding it in, this with 2 screws. I unscrewed it, took the metal bar out, took the screws out, carefully lifted the battery out, put the battery back in, put the metal bar back on top to hold it in for support, screwed it back in both places. But I also noticed there was this little metal clip thing near the battery. So on this side, battery's here, there's a metal clip thing here, and it was detached from the motherboard on this front side of the PS Vita, and just sort of sticking up like that. I'll try and find an image of it, otherwise what I'm saying sounds incredibly vague. I don't really fancy taking apart this again just to show you and risk, messing it up. But there was something sticking out here, so I just carefully clipped it back in and pressed it in and made sure it was secure, and then opened and closed the PS Vita a few times to make sure it was stuck in place. So the battery I made sure was secured in, and this clippy thing we made sure was secured in, and I turned the PS Vita on after I've screwed everything back in place, and I've used it for at least 10 hours now with no issues. Both on and off charge. I can use it for hours off charge. No more low power issues. So whether it was the battery wasn't firmly in place, or more likely this pin or something that had completely come undone and come off the motherboard, it lifted off, clips it back in. I think, and I don't know proper electronic speak or technical stuff, I theorise it was something to do with the power connecting and powering up the rest of the motherboard. So the battery was being charged, but then it wasn't connecting to the rest of the motherboard, so it wasn't powering the device properly or as efficiently as it's supposed to. Or maybe because this part of the console was disconnected on the back here somewhere, maybe it was just firing a low power issue as kind of like a failsafe to basically, in other words, say there's something wrong with the console. Whatever it may be, I pushed that back in, sorted up, replaced and lifted out, and then put back in the battery, and did it all very carefully and securely, and the device is fine now. I've had this PS Vita not even a year. I've only had it maybe like 7 months, 8 months, not very long. I had my first Vita, which is still in the family, but it's not mine anymore. But that Vita I bought in 2020, it's one of the first consoles I ever bought for myself. Back when I was the tender age of 20, 26 now, getting old. Not really, obviously. But yeah, I had the Vita for a few years, ended up passing it along, and then I really missed it, so I got myself a new one. And I love this Vita very much. And I want to make this video because I just want to tell you, like, someone like me, I clearly don't know what I'm on about. You know, it took me long enough in life to figure out what the difference between a CPU and a GPU is, for goodness sake. So I'm not a very technically minded person, but I am a concise and methodical person, and I do have the patience to try. When something goes wrong, my first instinct is, how can I make it right? What is the issue? How do I fix it? Not, oh, I'll just get a replacement, or, oh, what do I do? It's like, okay, how do I tackle this problem? And it might need some time to process the issue, but then it's like, okay, how can I try and fix this myself? If I hadn't been able to figure out the issue for myself, then I might have researched it more online, or else, you know, I mean, worst case scenario, I guess I would have had to buy a new one or something, because there was no way I have the skills to, you know, carefully remove a battery from a motherboard and then resolder it back in, or whatever you have to do. At least with the PSP, it's just easy. You've got a battery that's swollen, bin it safely, you know, in like a recycling battery point, not in the landfill bins, and then put a new battery in. But yeah, it's a bit more complicated with this. So I was glad in this particular issue, my low power issue was just clipping something back into the motherboard, which I think is what solved the issue. But I'm going to include the lifting and carefully replacing the battery and securing it properly as part of that. Just because, just in case, you know. What is that horrible bit of dirt? Go away. So yeah, that's how I got my Vita working again after I had a little bit of a heart attack with it not working. Because all the other issues I've had recently, with a washing machine seemingly breaking, but then it turned out all the electricity in a room had gone. So that was a whole nightmare. So many different disasters seem to have happened in such a short succession of time. We had a plumber who broke our bath and shower, and then we were blamed for it by our wonderful landlords. Fun. I didn't need my Vita breaking as well. It's like, all the adult serious life stuff's been annoying. Please don't break my happiness, you know, my entertainment device. I need an escape from all the adult stress. But I was able to fix it. And also, our bath and shower is working again now, and our washing machine seems to be working again. So, yay, all the stressful factors have gone. Apart from the fact that we have a plug socket hanging off the wall, and it's taken like a million years to fix it. Apparently it's not deemed a big enough health and safety issue. Yeah, the British property system is a bit dubious. But anyway, I am digressing heavily. I have lots of other things I could tell you about my experiences from my novice approach to fixing and repairing stuff. Lots of other different random anecdotes and stories and things to tell about all different manner of gaming and devices and wonderful stuff. But yeah, I've had a nice little chat talking to you about this. I just want to give you the message that, you know, you don't have to be some sort of expert. you don't have to, have studied electrics or, do it for a living. You don't even have to have really done it before. It's not, if you're unsure, absolutely, I totally recommend looking up things online. If there's any equipment you need to get. The only reason I was able to take this apart so easily is because I already have the screwdrivers, and I bought specific ones for the PSP size screws in the past when I was taking apart my PSP. So if you're willing to spend like a few quid on the correct screw heads, and you want to give it a go, you're carefully taking apart your console and trying some very easy steps to do, absolutely give it a go. I do not recommend taking apart a PlayStation 3 controller. Do not do that. I wouldn't risk doing that. Take apart an Xbox 360 controller. I've repaired them quite a few times. I'm quite good at that. They're quite easy to put back together. PlayStation 3 controllers, I wouldn't risk it. I kind of killed one once. The only time I took one apart. Just no, don't do that. But yeah, I've been Riggers. You've been amazing. I hope you have a great start to your week. And watching it at any time in the future, I hope you're just enjoying life in general. But thanks for watching. You take care, and I'll see you in the next video.